is Lily. I'm a librarian here at the Rust Public Library, and today I want to do a little art project with you that's extra fun when it's getting cold outside, it's starting to have shorter days, and it's getting dark earlier. So this is an activity that you can do inside on these shorter fall and winter months. It doesn't take a lot of supplies, and it is shadow puppets. Now, if you want to make shadow puppets without any supplies, you can do that. All you need is a flashlight of some sort, a blank wall, and your hands, or different shapes or things around your house. So that's the simplest way to do it, is shining a light onto a blank wall, and you can use your hands to make different shapes, like a bird or maybe a duck. But today we're going to talk about making shadow puppets using paper. So what you're going to need for that, in addition to your flashlight, which I'll show you how to use later, you're also going to want some kind of dark paper. Construction paper or cardstock is good. I have some black paper. You don't have to use black, but the darker it is, the more crisp shadow you're going to get, so because you won't have as much light going through. So black, dark blue, purple, anything like that will work. You're also going to need something to draw on your dark paper with. Now you could use a regular pencil, and if the paper is really dark, the pencil marks should show up pretty well. But if you have a hard time seeing that, you can also use a white color pencil or a white crayon, and that's going to let your lines show up a lot easier when you're cutting things out. And then the other thing you're going to want are some kind of sticks. I have these really thin little dowels that I got at a craft store, but you can also use like skewers that people use for cooking, or you could even use a chopstick or a pencil. You just want something thin that we're going to attach to the back, and we'll show you in a little bit how that works. You're also going to want some tape. Any kind of tape works. It can be masking tape, it can be clear tape like what you have around the house, whatever works for you. All right. So the other thing I want you to think about is, what story do you want to tell with your shadow puppets? Do you want to tell a fairy tale? If you wanted to do something like the Three Little Pigs, or you could come up with your own story. Maybe you have a story that you'd like to tell, and the first thing you're going to want to do is think about what characters are in your story. So the story that I decided to do today was The Frog Prince. So The Frog Prince is the story about a princess who's playing with a ball, and it goes down a well. A frog retrieves it for her when he hears her wish that if anybody could help her, she would give them, lots of jewels and precious things to get her ball back. The frog brings her the ball back, and it eventually turns out that that frog is actually a prince who was turned into a frog by a fairy or a witch. It depends on which story you have. So in order to do that story, we're going to need a princess, we're going to need a ball, we're going to need a frog, you're going to need a prince, because the frog is eventually going to get turned into a prince. And then you can also think about background. So in the first part, there's a well, so I'm going to do a well, and then also she lives in a castle, so you can do a castle. So whatever your story is, you want to make a shadow puppet for all the characters, and if you want to, you can even make shadow puppets for the scenery. So if it's in outer space, you could make planets. If it was in a forest, you could make trees. Whatever works for you. So I've gone ahead. The other thing you want to think about is that you're only going to see the outline of these things. So I've gone ahead, you can kind of see I did it in pencil, so it's a little bit hard to see, but I think it's showing up on the screen. But you're only going to see the very outline, because the light is going to hit the back of these puppets, and then whatever is blocking that light is going to show up. So you can see I did a princess, and you can see her arms and her feet and her crown. That's how we know she's a princess. But I didn't worry about drawing her face, and I didn't really put a lot of details in her dress, because you're not going to see that. You're only going to see the outline. So there's our frog and our ball, there's a castle. So go ahead and get your pencils ready, draw out your characters, and then once you have them drawn out, you're going to either get your scissors, or if you have a grown-up who can help you with your scissors, and you're going to very carefully cut around the very outside lines. Now, I just drew the outlines, but if it helps you when you're trying to draw the whole thing, you can do that, but I would recommend either erasing all the inside lines or just remembering not to cut, you know, into it, because you want just the very outside. There's no right or wrong way to do this, so don't worry if things don't look perfect. However, if you're not super comfortable drawing or you want a different way to do this, another thing you could do would be to trace pictures out of a book if you have a certain story you want to tell. There's also templates available online as well, but I think probably anything you guys can do would be just as good as things that you can find online. So I would encourage you to at least try drawing it out yourself and see how it looks, because it might turn out cooler than you expect. So I'm going to start cutting out all my little characters, and we'll get back in a minute when I have them all cut out. All right, so I got all of my characters cut out. Here's our princess. I'm going to kind of hold her so you can see what she looks like up against the blank wall. So like I said, you're just going to cut out the very outline. Now, some people might want some more detail, especially if you're an older kid and you have those fine motor skills and you can do really detailed work. You can get like tiny scissors or even X-Acto knives, if that's okay with your parents, and cut out little details, like maybe on the frog you want to cut out a little place for his eye or give him little spots. That's fine. You can make these as simple or as detailed as you want. What I'm going to show you now is how to attach the sticks to your character. So now a lot of people, when they make shadow puppets, they take their puppet and they put a stick and then they put a piece of tape and that's it. And that's fine, but I'm going to show you a little trick that will allow you to have a lot more movement with your shadow puppet, which will make your shadow puppet theater a little more interesting. So I've just got some regular masking tape here. Like I said, any kind of tape will work for this. You can use clear tape, but this is what I have. So what you want to do is you want to put your tape along the top of your stick, and you want to leave some space, because what you're going to do is you're going to create kind of a tab. Take this off here, and then you're going to fold it in half, but you don't want it to be right on top. You want to leave a little space. Can you see that? You're going to leave a little space there. Okay, smush it all together. So then you have your stick in the middle, and then look, you've got this kind of tab bit. And this part, this flappy part here, is what you're going to put onto your character. Okay? Now a little more tape. I'm going to try to help this up so you can see it. All right, so I've got my princess, I've got my stick, and right about in the middle here, turn around so you can see this, right about in the middle, I am going to attach this. Okay, and you can either fold it over or cut along however you want. Like I said, people aren't really going to see this because this is going to be, on the other side. Okay. But the reason you want to do this is that you want to be able, see how it connects at a 90-degree angle now? And so instead of having it down like this, which is fine, but you kind of can only move it one way, this way, look, can make it look like she's walking, or dancing, right? So it just gives you more movement that you wouldn't have before. And also it puts the stick kind of behind it, so instead of being like this where it looks like she's got, an extra leg or something, she's standing on a stick, when it goes behind like that, it looks like she's floating, and you can't really see this stick in the shadows as much. All right, so you just do that for all of your characters that you want. You do the little tab on the stick and attach it, right? Now, and that's all you have to do. So you have a couple options to put on a shadow puppet show. Like I said, you want a dark room, And then you're gonna want some kind of light source. So a flashlight works great, or if you have, a lamp that you can take the lampshade off. However that is, you basically wanna shine that bright light onto a blank wall. And then you're gonna put your light behind your puppets, and when you put your puppet in front of the light, you're gonna get the shadow on the wall. We actually have some puppet theaters that we made here at the library. Okay guys, so this is actually the shadow puppet theater that we've made here, and I'm going to turn it around so you can see all sides, but this started out as just a regular old box, okay? You can use any old box that you have got sitting around your house. And what we did is we opened up the top, and then we taped the other 3 flaps down, okay? Now to make it look fancy, we just cut a shape out here. You don't have to do that, but you can, and we put a little star on it. Now, to get inside the box, look, woo, how did we do that? Well, on each side, we traced a small plate. You could trace a small plate or a bowl, and we cut a circle out. This is the part you're probably gonna need a grown-up for, because you're gonna need like a box cutter or a serrated knife or something like that. But we did one on each side, see? All right, and then what we did is we left a couple inches on each side of the front, and we cut out a big square. Okay, so far we've got a round hole on each side and a big square in the front. Then we took some white paper. This can be drawing paper, this can be wax paper, this can be parchment paper, and we just taped it along the inside, which you can see inside there. We just used a bunch of tape and taped it on the inside. The last thing you need is something to shine a light in it. So what we then did is we have these little flashlights. We took the flashlight and we traced around it and then cut a hole out. That way you can stick your flashlight in here, turn it on, and you are ready to go. All right, everyone, this is what our puppet theater looks like when it's set up. We've got the flashlight turned on in the back. You can see that's that very bright light here. As I said before, feel free to just do this at home with a blank wall and a bright light in a dark room. We are actually filming this in the Russ Library Storytime room, so any of you who have come to Storytime here in the past know that it's a very bright room with lots of windows, so we can't get it completely dark, but I think it's dark enough in here for you to be able to tell how the puppet theater is gonna work. What I also did is I took my well that I cut out and I took some tape and just taped it on the inside of the paper here. So you can do that for any of the stuff that you want as background. So say you had it set in the forest, maybe for Little Red Riding Hood or Hansel and Gretel, you could tape the trees against the paper. You could, if you were doing 3 Little Pigs, you could tape up your little houses. But that's for anything that you don't need to move around, because that's like the landscape. So let's go ahead. We've got our princess puppet. I'm going to put her in, so as you can see, that's what these holes in the side are for, so I can reach my arm in. All right, and there we have our princess from the Frog Prince. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this. This is a really nice activity to do now in the colder months. Like I said, we have these longer nights and more time inside, so I hope this is something you and your family can do together. Like I said, there's no wrong way to do this, so I would love to see your different stories that you tell. And if you would like to share with us either photos of your puppets that you've made, or even a video of a story that you've created, we would love to see it here. Feel free to share that on the Loudoun County Library Facebook page. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy. Bye.